Now, I have not working with jam before, but you have worked with jam before, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
All right, well, this will be a new for me.
So if you want to write this down, also it'll be in the video. Christie's chocolate raspberry gelato formula for a CB350, the smaller machine here, is 3.5 quarts of the dairy blend, which consists of milk, cream, sugar, skim milk powder, and flavor. 3.5 quarts of dairy mix, 6 ounces of Forbes chocolate powder, Benjamin P. Forbes chocolate. That's at our website under key suppliers. 54 ounces of raspberry jam. Which kind of jam did you buy?
Just red raspberry jam.
I mean, brand.
Smucker's.
Smucker's is great stuff. And 1 ounce of vanilla extract. Did you put vanilla extract in that?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, it didn't call for it?
Yeah,
Oh, but we forgot it.
correct.
Okay.
So we say that many ounces of jam, but we're not for sure yet. That 54 ounces is for 3 of these. I'm going to put 2, going to do a little Jeff thing, let it run, taste it, see if I get chocolate and raspberry, let that jam mix up with the mix and the chocolate, and then we go from there. So you might have to scratch out of that if we like it at the tube. All right, how many ounces of chocolate? 6? Didn't Jeff have one open? Didn't you have a bag of chocolate open?
Yes, right on the shelf,
I'll use that one.
right behind the sugar.
Got it.
Sugar.
Honey.
Thanks, doll.
No problem, hon.
That was a great flavor, Jeff.
So 6
That's pretty good.
ounces.
Fantastic.
That would sell.
That doesn't need chocolate coffee in it. Vanilla in it.
What? No, no, it was fine.
On that half batch, so how much does that make, like 6 quarts or 12?
A full batch will make 6 gallons.
Oh, 6 gallons, okay. All right, so that makes 3 gallons.
Right.
Ooh,
All right.
it's like powdered sugar. Go fast. The thing when you work with chocolate powders, immersion blenders are best, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. And it'll take me a good little minute. This is a Forbes chocolate powder. Forbes, to me, makes the best powders for making any type of chocolate. You know, you should have a data sheet in there, and then, of course, Cherish's contact is on that formula that I had given to you, so I would definitely reach out to Cherish. They're a great company. They've been around for a very, 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 very long time, and they make the best chocolates. We don't have to blend this completely because the machine does most of it, but we're just going to get it all nice and in there. Okay. Step 1, make sure your gate's closed. I'm very guilty of that. I've done it at my house many times. All right, and then keep it up high. I think Jeff just poured his chocolate powder right into the machine, didn't he? Yeah, it gets messy. I don't like doing that. All right. Yeah, so we're going to go, so we're going to make a gelato. So we're going to go make ice cream, gelato, and start. We're not going to turn on the refrigeration because we're going to add our jam. I don't have a spatula.
Right now, it's just kind of mixed.
No. That won't fit. Let me wash this.
When you're making super premium ice cream, it's like 35% overrun or something, isn't it?
Super premium ice cream is usually 65% overrun.
65.
Yeah.
So is there a way, how do you know that for sure? Is there a way to either weigh the ice cream or like how do you know for sure that you're making that?
The easiest way is to calculate how much total liquid went into the machine and then percentage it to, and it'll tell you what the percentage is. They do sell something called an overrun scale. I spent the first half of my life making those things cheap because we didn't have the infinite overrun control. But so they're not worth it. So Christi's putting in the jam. And that's
putting more texture. I can see you putting in some fresh raspberries. All right. Let's give it a... You can. I don't like putting any frozen fruits because they're going to stay frozen, and when you bite into a solid, it's really hard to bite into. I taste the raspberry.
interesting.
And see, I got this from a Ghirardelli little chocolate square, chocolate raspberry. I think I'm going to go ahead and start it. So, what? Oh, we need to put vanilla in, an ounce, right?
1 ounce?
Yeah, you don't do an ounce per quart like you do.
So why are you measuring it? You know what an ounce looks like.
Why not measure? That's how you make formulas precise, Jeff.
I don't know, Emerald doesn't measure ounces.
So we only used 2 jars of 18 ounce, so that's what, 36 ounces of jam, so you want to change your formula to 36. That way you get, if you measure, you're going to get the same flavor every single time when you go to make it the next time. Jeff, Jeff doesn't measure, and that's okay. That's how Jeff likes to do it. I like to measure everything I do. That and my mother was a baker, so kind of have to. Does anybody have any specific questions? No?
So what's the speed of the machine making this?
This is on gelato setting. So does everybody know what overrun is? I think I heard Steve talk about it. So overrun is the amount of air content. The faster the dasher spins, the more air it's putting into your product. The slower the dasher spins, the less air it's putting into your product. So we're running this pretty low, so we're running this about 140 RPMs. Homemade ice cream, what Jeff was running, is 234 RPMs, so it's a big difference. So Jeff's, typically that's what everybody makes is homemade ice cream because you're doubling your yield. So an example, you put 5 quarts of mix, you're gonna get 10 quarts of product back out. You run it with gelato, I put in 3.5 quarts of mix, I'm probably gonna get 4.5, maybe 5 quarts of mix back out. So that's why, or product back out. That's why you go to a gelato shop, it's more expensive than going to a homemade ice cream shop because you're not getting your full yield back out. And it doesn't melt as fast, it's nice and thick and creamy. Because it's got a high sugar content, this will take a little bit longer to freeze, just like Jeff's did. Well, right now you're at 2 minutes, so you're probably going to look around 13 to 15 minutes. Now, also keep in mind your very first batch of the day. So this was the machine's first batch. It's going to take longer. This is this machine's, yes?
Because the machines are different sizes, do they freeze faster or slower? Will a product be made faster in the smaller machine?
No. So to finish the first question. I forgot what the first question was. Thanks, Jeff. Anyway, no, they don't freeze. One doesn't freeze faster than the other just because one is smaller and one is bigger. It's they both going to run the same, function the same. They're both going to make ice cream, vanilla ice cream in 8 to 9 minutes. Oh, it was the startup. So when you very first run your machine for the day, so let's say Jeff was to make these batches back to back to back to back to back. So his first batch is going to take quite a little bit longer, a couple minutes, 3-4 minutes longer than the next one. And then the more the machine runs, because it's so nice and cold, the faster it's going to freeze. Now it's not going to go all the way to freeze in 2 minutes, but it'll start holding, you know, at freezing it constantly at 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes versus your very first batch at 15, an example. So the higher the sugar content, the longer it's going to take to freeze. So that's why we say vanilla can take 8 minutes, chocolate raspberry, which is jam is sugar, chocolate is sugar. This had nothing but sugar, the one that you just ate prior. So that's just going to constantly, you know, take longer to freeze. And that's just science. You can't get around science.
In between batches, so like, you know, definitely flavors I had some can you go right into making a different flavor? Do you have to clean out the machine or anything?
That's a good question. So she asked if you make the chocolate ice cream, can you go right into making the next batch? Yes and no. So if you were to make another type of chocolate product in either one of these machines, yes, you can. If you're going to go from, like, an example, the next one this is going to make is an Italian ice, no. You're going to want to rinse this thoroughly. I think Jeff is going to make a very berry. He's going to want to rinse that a couple times to get some of that chocolate out. You know, you don't want to get that mixed in. If you were to, an example, we have a banana split. If we would have started with banana split and then did the chocolate, you can do that without rinsing in between. Always start with your lightest flavors and then work your way down to your darkest. Or if you're working with like a prominent flavor, like an example, mint chip. Mint chip is a light color. It's green, but it's very strong and it's minty. So kind of save that one for your last, or rinse it a couple times to get that mint smell and mint flavor out of the machine.
And what are you rinsing when you do that?
Just, you can use plain tap water. If you go to take the door off or open the door, you're going to have to sanitize the machine again before you run it.
Are you going to show us how to rinse in between one of the flavors?
You'll see us in between. So like when Jeff is going to do his, you'll see me rinse in, and whenever, vice versa. And so we talked did you talk about the cutoff check? Cutoff, where you open and close it? No? So obviously we're only 5 minutes in, but if I go to open and close this, it's still pretty soupy. So we're going to need quite a bit longer on that. So that's what we call a cutoff check. And the longer this goes, you're going to open and then close the gate. And then if it pours out, obviously that's not done. If you close it and it cuts off and it just kind of plops down, you know, some people like to pull it thicker, some like to pull it on the thinner side. I pull mine kind of in the middle. Jeff pulls his on the thinner. And then my colleague Mike, he likes to pull his pretty thick. So here's what I have learned. Jeff is probably more pro at this, but when you pull it on the thinner side, it's going to fill your container up more evenly. If you pull it pretty thick, it's going to start making like air pockets, and you're going to have to bang it down and get it nice and level. Yes, agree with that?
Sure.
Put those all in the anyway, so does it matter how thick you pull it?
Yes, I think so. You know, I think a little bit of it is a preference. You know, if you're putting in a whole bladder, that's 10 quarts, that's 5 gallons, that's 2 of these. So if you pull it a little bit thinner, you're going to fill these up nice and pretty even. If you pull it really, really, really thick, then you're going to have to sit there and smack it, spread it, push it down a little bit to fill these up.
Texture the same whether you pull it thin or thick?
I think it's a little bit on the science side. To me, it's not. If you ask, you know, some other certain people, they'll probably tell you yes, but to me, there's not.
I don't see any difference whatsoever.
I don't.
And never have. So it really is a personal preference. The advantage to what Jeff does, as Christy said, of pulling it a little sooner is you're going to get a more even fill. Even to the point where when we're filling pints, we turn them upside down in the freezer. So if there's any gaps, when you open the package, it's always going to be full. But no, there's no texture difference. The freezing has already been done at that point.
Go ahead. Any other questions, curiosity, where you get flavors? Does anybody currently have a store? No? Or go ahead.
So Jeff turns the compressor off and decides to take it out. And he doesn't shut it off. Does the machine just keep running the compressor until everything freezes and the water breaks?
You're
What's
not
the
gonna-
question?
So he asked, so he said, He said, Jeff, when he turns on the compressor, or the refrigeration, he walks off. Is the machine going to stop it or keep running until it breaks? You're not going to break the machine. It's got an internal alarm, so once it gets too thick, it's going to shut itself off, so that doesn't happen. Don't use that. We ask you not to use that as your timer. You know, some people do, but let's not do that. And like I said, you know, everybody knows and gets in sync with their machine. And like I can hear it now. I've been doing it so long, I can hear it's getting thicker instead of hearing it sloshing. So you could pull it at your own time frame. So it's like an internal body clock. You know, when you're cooking at home and on the stove, you know, if you go fold a load of laundry real quick, oh, you know, it's something in your brain. So you'll know after you get the hang of it. But you won't break the machine. It'll shut itself down. Yes. So her question was, how long do you run the refrigeration? It depends on what product you're making. So an example, this one, I know it's going to take a long time. It's the first batch, plus it's got a lot of sugar content. So you're probably looking around, like I said, 13, 15 minutes. If I was running vanilla, I'm looking at 8 to 9 minutes. If you're running, you know, like the banana split, it's probably going to take about 12, 13 minutes. So it really just depends on your sugar content. Italian ice, I make a really good orange Italian ice. It's just orange juice and sugar. The Simply brand orange juice, that's it. There's no water, there's no nothing, but it's sugar and sugar. And that can take about 15, 17 minutes. So it really just depends on your sugar content.
Longer have to run.
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna give it a check and let's see what it looks like. See how it got a little bit thicker? So right now we're at 10 minutes and I said about 13, 15, so we're probably right around on that target. Yes, ma'am.
Are all the bladders the same and what's the difference?
So the bladders, they all come in 10-quart bladders. And they're all the same, but they're not. So it's all going to contain the same type of ingredients. But they can come anywhere from 10% butterfat all the way to 19% butterfat. Here in the South, we kind of like to stick with the 10% because it's hot, it's icky, and you know, to be honest, our stomachs probably really can't handle that super heavy butterfat. Unless you all know Twisty Treat, well, that's the best ice cream. Soft serve, but shh, don't tell Steve that. And then you go more up north and you're going to have more of a higher butter fat. There's also different companies like Meadowvale. They make a clean label dairy mix. That's in your packet, I believe, as well. So that's all natural ingredients and everything that you can pronounce. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with good old-fashioned, you know, dairy mix that you're going to get from a dairy farmer. Now, a lot of people call and ask, can I make my own mix? Yes, you can, but you're going to get involved with the FDA. That's a whole nother rules, laws, regulations, permits, and it's not worth it. You know, and a lot of people go, well, I'm not making my own ice cream if I don't make my mix. And I go, well, if you bake a cake, do you go out and mill your own flour or do you go buy your flour? Same thing. You're buying your mix, but you're still making your ice cream. We use Dairy Mix. That's actually the name of the company, and it's here local to us. So every state and county, every state, I wouldn't say county, but every state has a dairy close to you, and there's a dairy supplier list in your packet as well. And of course, you can always give us a call, and we could try to help you and get you in contact with some people to get this locally. So we're at 12 and a half. Let's give it a little check. Still a little. I think it could use a couple more minutes. Yes, there is. There is a timer. So even though you turn on your dasher, your timer's not going to start. It's only when you turn on your refrigeration. So as soon as you turn on your refrigeration, your timer's going to start. And then next to your recipe, when your batch is done, write down how many minutes it took. So that way you can buy Steve has here. Steve has little timers like this. So next to your recipe, you'll know this one takes 15 minutes, an example. and you'll set your little timer for 15, stick it up here, and it'll go off, and then you know to come back, or you can set it at 12 to come back and check it. I thought you had another question.
So when you turn on the dash, which is your mixer, there's no time, it's not.
No, it's not going to turn on the timer until you hit the refrigeration. Any questions? Did everybody adjust their formula to the on your paper? So I'll have to make that. Yep. So just 2 of these. I think it tastes spot on. I don't want to overpower it. And you can always add more. You can never take away. And even if you do add too much, it's very easy to figure out because whoa, that was a little much. You'll figure out in your first 1 or 2 batches, so you don't have to go. A lot of people think that they need to buy a machine 2 months in advance, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years in advance to learn to do all of it. It's such an easy process. That was my first time doing it. I knew a rule of thumb for my chocolate powder. I put in the 2 jars, tasted it, good to go. It's really that easy. Yes?
Do you know the difference? You said Meadowvale is all natural. What would be not natural in like what you use here versus
like a preservative, which is normal. That's in just about every single thing that you eat, and that's completely okay. It's fine. There are some specialty shops that cater for vegan only, dairy-free only, diet-friendly specialty, shops like that like to produce or make a product that says, I'm all natural. So that's when they come in handy. And I've ran it before, and it is a very, very, very good product. But Meadowvale also has custard. They have regular dairy mix, and then they also have that clean label.
Polysorbate 80. There is no reason in today's world of all natural to have polysorbate 80 in your ice cream mix. Maltodextrin. Maltodextrin will give you diarrhea. Very simple. In fact, if you buy sugar-free candies, if you buy Stouffer's sugar-free candies, I do everything to excess. So you open up the package, and you eat. It's a little package like that, and it's sugar-free. I'm a diabetic. This is great. I eat the whole package. Hour later, I've got diarrhea. It says on the package, consuming more than 2 of these candies in one sitting will give you diarrhea, because that's what maltodextrin does. You don't need these things. Leopold's ice cream up in Savannah, Georgia. She once told me her ice cream consists of milk, cream, sugar, skim milk. That's it.
What?
Does it make a difference when you're making it premium ice cream and gelato, what mix you're using, or do you use the dairy?
Yeah, it matters by butterfat content. But sorry, Christy's about to pull this.
Okay, so it was at 15 and 20 seconds. And this is going to be a very thick and a very heavy ice cream because we ran it on gelato setting.
So what if you speed it up?
I don't want to speed it up,
Okay.
but I can.
Steve, on that polysorbate 80, that's not in like Dairy Mix brand, right?
It's not in the one Christy's talking about. It's in a lot of dairy mixes, and that's going to cause you a problem.
Now we're going to turn it up. And that also comes in handy if you want to fill pints, which you can do from this machine and this machine, but that machine you can't really fill pints from. Put this back under there. All right, so let's try raspberry gelato. You guys can take over now. I'm going to serve.
So there's still some dripping out of there. You're just gonna, how do you get, you don't have to worry about that little bit that's left in the machine.
What I do is, there's only going to be a few ounces left in the machine because it's so efficient. But when I plan my ice cream, I'm not, at this class, we're doing one-offs. We're doing this one, and we're doing that one, and we're doing that one. The proper way to make ice cream is start with your vanilla products. So you make vanilla ice cream. You're running an ice cream parlor, you probably need 10 tubs of vanilla. It's the #1 selling flavor. So you make 10 tubs of vanilla. Then you go to a vanilla-like product. Well, what's a vanilla-like product? Butterscotch swirl. We're making vanilla ice cream in the machine, so we haven't contaminated it, and now we're adding butterscotch as it's coming out. We're swirling it in. Then we're doing raspberry, and we're doing chocolate, and we're doing Nutella. We can do all these different swirls because it's still just vanilla. So now for the first 6 hours, we've only made vanilla ice cream. We don't need to worry about anything. If I was to make a mistake and go from chocolate to vanilla, now I've got to rinse out the machine. And so I'm going to put in some water, let it slosh around for 30 seconds, and drain it out, and I'm ready to go. The exception to everything is peanut butter. Everybody is very conscious of peanuts and peanut allergies. So what's important to do is make that the last flavor of the day, because after peanuts, you need to tear the machine down completely, re-sanitize everything, let it air dry out on a table, and come back to it the next day. So it's just a matter of simplicity. It takes you maybe 5 minutes to set up the machine in the morning. So it isn't going to make you, even in 5 minutes, it's not going to make sense for you to make one batch of vanilla today and then walk away and make another batch tomorrow. Try to build an inventory. The Italians make everything in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, they make all their 6 or 8 flavors, and that's it for the day. They don't make any more ice cream. They don't have any inventory of ice cream. So at 10:30, you walk in and you want tiramisu gelato. Oh, I'm sorry, we ran out at 9:30. But don't worry, there's another gelateria in Florence a half a block away. Our ice cream parlors are 20, 30 miles away. Theirs is a half a block away. So they have no brand loyalty. They just say, okay, I'll go to the other guy. We need, every flavor that we make needs to be in inventory at all time. You ready to go, Christy?
Yep.
All right.
It's very good, I think.
I'm going to try this one, too. Jeff, you want a spoon?
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
There you go.
And what is this? This is chocolate raspberry gelato.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. Excellent.
You're welcome.
You know,
That's what I was going for, like the Ghirardelli, yeah.
I don't think it needs any more raspberry. I think that's like
So it's good to have it on hand so that way you can taste it. If it needs more, you can put more into it. And the best part, you went to the grocery store to get it. I mean, the Forbes chocolate, you got to order that. But everything else, you can go to Publix, Walmart, Costco. It doesn't matter, wherever you want to go. I'm going to go pack this.
Once in a while, we get a question from people just starting up, and they say, well, why don't I just go buy my ice cream? It's so much easier. I don't need this equipment. I don't have to do it. You go buy it because Breyers, Bluebell, Hershey, even Haagen-Dazs, Ben & Jerry, all companies that Emery Thompson put into business and now are using our machines, the CB350, to run test batches while they run a 1,000-gallon-an-hour machine. That's what they offer, and you have to sell what they offer. So you can get Hershey's vanilla or cherry swirl at any place that says Hershey's ice cream. But you can only get your ice cream at your ice cream parlor. I've had people say, you know what, you can go anywhere in the United States. You can go to Chicago, Philadelphia, San Diego, and get Haagen-Dazs ice cream. But you know what? When you're in Chicago, make sure you try this homemade place, and make sure in San Diego you go to this place. It's the homemade businesses that are what are going to attract the attention, because you can do flavors like this.